Bridgewater. Pressure comes. He's in trouble and he takes the sack. Pushing the Panthers out of field goal range. The longest field goal in the history of the National Football League. Currently the record 64 by Matt Prater. Sly's kick is on the way. It is accurate enough, and it is no good, just short.
Okay, hey fan, and we are back, and we got a new show for you. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. We're going to recap the Carolina Panthers game against the New Orleans Saints in Week 7. And I am joined, as always, by Cowboy Joe, but we also have a special guest joining us, and that's Josh Klein with the Riot Report. Josh, we are thrilled to have you. We are big fans of the Riot Report as well as the Roaring Riot, so thanks so much. And first of all, how are you doing? And
welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. I feel bad. You know, you look like you're in a model home there. Me and Cowboy Joe look like we're in the back room at a strip club. Like it's. I mean, Cowboy Joe, like you have lights there, right? Like
how'd you know? How did you know?
Like there,
I have Coco coming in later.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It's 2020. We're living our lives. Yeah, you're Jeff. You look like you're a lot more like set up than us. You got a microphone, but I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate the invite.
All right, cool. Well, we're happy to have you. So let's get to it. One thing that we do when we do this show is one of the first things that we do is just kind of talk about some of the quick reactions that we had as a result of the game. And in this particular game, the Panthers lost 27-24, tight game against the Saints. And a friend of the show and also a friend of course, Panthers fans, Edgar Salmingo Jr., Panthers analyst on Twitter, he sent this tweet the other day, actually yesterday, that says, for all of those down on the Panthers, let it be known that the combined record of the opponents that they've lost to is 17-8, and none are below 500. And then he lists the records of the Raiders, the Buccaneers, the Bears, and the Saints. And he goes on to say, and they all went to the final drive with a chance to win in all of them. Impressive, not depressing. And, I think that says a lot. I mean, there's a lot we can kind of unpack here with the game, offensively, defensively, what stood out, what was good, what was bad. But ultimately, they're 3-4. And, if we have a chance to go 4-4 against Atlanta coming up this week, I think we would take that as fans, heading into the season. Your thoughts on that, guys?
Here's the thing. Anybody that is disappointed in this Carolina Panthers team that's 3-4 with Christian McCaffrey having missed 5 of the 7 games that they've played without an offseason, with 60% of the roster being completely brand new, with a new coaching staff that didn't get OTAs, didn't get a mini camp, barely got a training camp to let their guys hit each other. The injuries that they faced up front. If you are disappointed in what this team has brought to you, you had unrealistic expectations, and you are not watching football correctly, because this team, what you are seeing from this team through 7 games is exactly what you should have been hoped to have seeing heading into the season. You're seeing growth from the young players. You're seeing these young players playing not only better than maybe we thought that they would, but they're improving week over week. You're looking at a draft class that has probably at least 4 contributors on defense, which is incredible. You have a guy that might be the leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Rookie of the Year. You have an offense that's coming together as they go on week by week. Again, missing the best running back in the NFL. And you're seeing a coaching staff that's getting used to its players, that's getting used to being able to utilize them correctly, that's getting used to coaching in the NFL. And what I was most concerned about, and what I think you should have been most concerned about if you're a Panthers fan, is that this coaching staff and these players were not going to look like they were ready for the NFL. Because guess what? There's a brand new coach in Dallas, Cowboy Joe. You probably know about him, right? How's that working out? Let
me tell you, it's not too well.
So it's like you look at this team they're 3-4, I'll tell you what, I've been saying it the whole time. If they go 3-13, it's fine as long as they are still buying into the system. These young players are getting better. And if they're competing every week, then that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for them. If they win some games along the way, then that's great. But the NFL works in windows, and the Panthers window just isn't open right now, and that's fine. But there are things that we should be looking for, and wins and losses are not how they should be judged in a season like 2020.
Yeah, no, well said. I completely agree with that. And we kind of just have to take a step back and kind of look at things and not necessarily be too upset or disappointed kind of at the results so far, but be pleased at where we're at and how we can improve. So speaking of improvement, another reaction that I had was, the defense. All right, this is starting to become kind of commonplace, but the defense, particularly on third down, is still an issue that we're seeing. New Orleans was 12 of 14 on third down plays. The 2 times where they didn't get a first down were field goal attempts that they both made. And now Carolina's third down defense is 56.3% in terms of conversion percentage allowed. That's the second worst in the league, next to Tennessee. Any thoughts at all from you on this for one, but how this can be improved? What can we look for?
Well, I have some thoughts. The first is that it's incredibly disappointing. Anytime that you are going to, I think it was their worst third down defense in franchise history, third worst opponent's third down conversion since 90 of any NFL game. That's not great. You don't want to be on that side of the record book. But the reality is that this is a young defense that's missing a lot of guys up front, playing against a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not going to make excuses for them. They've got to play better if they want to win games. But this was what, in my mind, we thought that the team was going to be. The defense was going to be bad. Offense was going to be good. And I think we got a little bit spoiled for the 2 or 3 game stretch where the defense looked better than maybe what we thought they were going to be. And they obviously, I'm not sure that they are as bad as they were against New Orleans, and I don't think they're as good as they were against Atlanta. So it's somewhere in between what this defense is. In terms of how they can get better on third down, I think the way to get better on third down is improving their first and second down defense. I know that sounds stupid and counterintuitive, but when you have 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, it's a lot easier to pick up than in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. The first 3, when their first drive for the Saints, they had 3 third downs. They were 3rd and 2, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. So those are just, against a beat up defensive line like the Panthers have, that's just going to be too easy to pick up. And their run defense is having the same kind of gap issues that they were having over the past couple of years. But I think that has a lot to do with inexperience, no offseason, guys that are being asked to play in different positions that maybe they are equipped for. And those things are going to happen. It's going to be inconsistent up front, and you just kind of have to take these growing pains, and sometimes they're going to lose because of them.
And honestly, I honestly think I will take this defense over the Dallas defense any day right now. And honestly, this defense is young. And to your point, no OTAs, no preseason games, no point of hitting each other and learning each other the gaps, what stunts they have to. It's all a maturity process right now, and they're going to get better. They can't get worse. They're going to get better, and they're going to get better. I know they're going to get better.
Well, I think we said last year, we were like, well, this run defense can't get any worse. And then it sure did. So well, let's not go saying things we can't take back. But I think that you're right. I mean, this is a defense that's extremely young, and they got to get better. My big thing, and I've been kind of preaching this from the very beginning, is that this defensive line is too they've invested too many assets into this defensive line for them to be as bad as they are at both pass rush and run defense. When you have on the defensive line right now, and I get it, but you have last year's first round pick and this year's first round pick up there, and they're playing over 75% of the snaps, and this team is still giving up over 4.5 yards a carry. They have the second fewest pressures in the entire league. Like it's just got to get better. And I don't know whether that's Phil Snow being dialing up these run funnels and doing 3-man fronts, which I think has a little bit to do with it. But the reality is like we need to see more out of the front if this defense is going to be even average rather than just straight bad, which it kind of is right now. At least it was last week.
Yeah, and we will definitely talk a little bit more about the defense and how we can what we can do to improve. I'll talk more about the pass rush, the missed tackles, that kind of thing. But as far as other reactions, I mean, this might have been the first game where I kind of really missed McCaffrey. Mike Davis didn't have much. We'll get to this in a bit, but I mean, the running game had 37 yards rushing, 12 yards from Mike Davis. However, Curtis Samuel's return was definitely welcomed. He had 3 catches on third down to raise up his total of 14 catches on third down to lead the league, tied with Keenan Allen of the Chargers. So, I mean, Curtis Samuel was definitely welcomed and good to have back. And, of course, the offensive players, Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore were also very productive. This offense is a winning offense. It's the defense that's the biggest concern. If we can just get that defense right and the offense to keep clicking, this is. I think they can continue to at least be competitive and win some games.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that the reason that they were winning games, the reason they beat Atlanta, Arizona, and whoever else they beat, LA. Yeah. Was because of the defense. I mean, the offense did enough to win, but the reality is it was the defense that played well enough that kept the Chargers off the field. I mean, they beat up Justin Herbert in his first start. They contained Kyler Murray, which now it's one of those things where I wonder if we get to the end of the season and you look at the Cardinals and what they've become by season's end and what the Panthers are and say, how did the Panthers beat the Cardinals? Like, just not only beat them, but like eat them up. Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's going to be like the Houston Carolina game from last year where it was Kyle Allen and we were like, what's happening here? I mean, I guess Carolina's like the best team in the league with Kyle Allen. And I just want to be clear. I did not say that. There were a lot of media members out there that said that. I was not on that Kyle Allen train.
If Kyle Allen doesn't duck away from JJ Watt, that could be a different story, right?
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
Stack. Anyway,
sorry, Cowboy Joe, for bringing up Kyle Allen. I know he's your arch nemesis.
You brought 2 of my worst nightmares: Arizona and Kyle Allen.
So let's at least talk about the offensive players here. See how well they did. Bridgewater again, very efficient. 23 of 28, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is second in the league in completion percentage, 72.2. And first is Drew Brees, a couple percentage points higher, decimal points higher. 99.1 QB rating for the year. That's outstanding. I don't think we've had that in Carolina for a while. Samuel, as I said, 3 more receptions on third down. DJ Moore's 3rd game in a row where he had 93 yards, and he's got 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. And Robbie Anderson, man, he's on pace for 105 catches and 1,465 yards receiving. And, this isn't just like, 1, 2, 3 weeks in. We are 7 games in, and he's at that pace. So what does that tell you?
That's some good stats. Well, Anderson was going to get it. Anderson is, he's a good player. He showed it in the Jets, he's shown it here. So I don't doubt that. The pace is just amazing. It just reminds me of Marvin Harrison from the Colts. So I'm impressed.
Hey, Josh, we already talked about how the defense really struggled to stop Brees. 12 of 14 on third down. Like you said, it was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and they're able to convert. If it's 3rd and 5, they're going to get 8 yards. It's it seems like they are any team really is being able to find open seams in the soft zone. Why is Carolina playing such a soft zone like this? Is it because they're concerned about the corners, the safeties, the linebackers, and coverage? I mean, as a Panthers fan myself, and I'm sure other people want to know, why is it that we're seeing that?
I'm back, baby.
You're back.
I got some thoughts on this soft zone.
Okay, go right ahead.
No, sorry about that, guys. I apologize. I don't know what happened. We had some internet issues here, but I think that you're absolutely right. I think some of the things that you mentioned as the reason for these soft zone are exactly that. You have young corners that I think this team is concerned about. They don't want to put them out there on an island. Certainly not against some of the teams that they faced. Now you look at New Orleans this past week without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, that may not have been the case. But in the past, some of the other teams that they faced, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, you don't want guys like that going one-on-one with Troy Pride Jr. in his 4th game in the NFL. Sorry, Troy, if you're listening, but it's one of those things where it's like I think this is a bit of a run funnel defense where they are trying to bait the opposition into running the ball. And when you can't stop the run, the opposition is more than happy to run it, but they're always going to drop down. They're going to rally to the ball. They're going to allow you to throw underneath and have quarterbacks have a lower ADOT, have a lower yards per completion. During their 3-game win streak, the yards per completion was like under 7 yards per completion, which is incredible for a defense. So I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to kind of rally to the ball, allow some underneath, and then go and get it. But sometimes when you're playing against Drew Brees, and I think that this is something that Phil Snow is going to have to learn over a little bit of time in the NFL, is that doesn't work as well as it did when you're in the Big 12. And when you're at Baylor, I think you can do that a little bit more. But Drew Brees is more than happy to complete 6-yard passes all day long, and they're not going to punt. And this week, Matt Ryan is going to do the exact same thing. He's going to be more than happy to throw it underneath to Russell Gage, to Calvin Ridley, and every now and then, if you let Julio Jones get deep, he's going to go deep. But if you give those underneath throws up, he's going to take them all day. And I think that's going to be something that I'm watching for over the course of the season. Again, we want to see them get better, right? And that includes the coaching staff just as much as the players.
Yeah, no, and offense has to keep pace, and we saw that this week. If the offense didn't keep pace, that's a blowout. And excellent points there, Josh. Definitely appreciate that. Backbreaker, man. The defense allowed that touchdown to end the first half. The Saints drove 75 yards in 95 seconds without a single third down play. I mean, that was such a unfortunate string of events there.
I thought I was watching Madden, somebody playing Madden, because they drove so fast. Before even I blinked an eye, they were already in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. I was thinking maybe they could hold them to a field goal, but then it's just like it just kept happening. And next thing you know, that's a touchdown. Again, it's just a microcosm of what you've already talked about here, Josh, with the dink and the dunk. And we're going to continue to see that because that's the blueprint on how you beat Carolina. I mean, if Breeze can go 12-14, Ryan can go 10-14 or even, something close to that. So teams are going to start to do that. Let's see. The sack on 3rd and 11. This is near the end of the game on the 47-yard line, 4th quarter, 2:25 remaining. They were down 3 at the time. It looked like Bridgewater had a chance to make a throw, but he couldn't even step up in the pocket. It's just one of those things. They had a chance to actually pull out a win or at least come to a tie at the end of regulation. Or who knows? The Saints, even if they did tie, the Saints may have come back and had a game-winning drive of their own. But still, you kind of hate to see it.
Yeah, so Teddy Bridgewater said after the game that they had the perfect play call. He had Curtis Samuel one-on-one on a double move on the left side of the field. And if he had time, he thought they were scoring a touchdown. And they just didn't have time. He said today when we talked to him on the phone, or I guess yesterday through the magic of podcasting, he said that they had it blocked up perfectly too. They'd called the perfect protection, but the stunt game that Marcus Davenport and the Saints ran just left. Ultimately, Marcus Davenport versus Mike Davis is not a matchup that the Panthers are going to win very often on a block.
Sure.
And even if he had been able to, hold him back, or if a couple of things happen differently, I don't think that he necessarily takes a sack there. I see a lot of, and maybe it's because I'm very online, but you see a lot of Twitter saying that Teddy Bridgewater cost the Panthers the game by taking that sack.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is asinine. Sorry, I don't know if we can put if,
No,
if,
sure.
if we want to bleep that one out, you can, because it's, first of all, if he throws that ball away, which is what a lot of people said, like, oh, just throw it away. Throws that ball away, they kick the field goal, they're going to lose. So they're like, their defense had not been able to keep New Orleans off the field the entire game.
Sure.
And there is, if you give the ball back to Drew Brees with 2 minutes, 12 seconds, or however much time is left, you're losing that game. So they have to score a touchdown. And so that's probably why Joe Brady drew that play up. And the reason why they were in that game is because of Teddy Bridgewater. And I think that it is just so easy to say that Teddy is the reason they lost, even though he's 23 of 28 for 254 and 2 touchdowns. A perfect passer rating in the first quarter or in the first half, and he kept them in that game. You're absolutely right. They went drive for drive with Drew Brees and the Saints. They punted once, and for you to hang a loss on a quarterback after your offense only punts once, I just don't think that's the case. So I think that, yes, is it a backbreaking sack? Absolutely. Can you not take a sack there? For sure. If it had gotten sacked 2 yards short of that, yes, maybe Joey Sly's hitting a 63-yarder to tie it, but I think that that's one of those things where he's going to hit a 63-yarder to tie it, and then Drew Brees is going to come down and score, and they're going to win the game. So, in my mind, you're losing either way.
Yeah, and you mentioned Bridgewater as one of the key players in that game, but also so was Brian Burns. I mean, we've seen him. He's got 3 sacks so far this year. All 3 were strip sacks. And that was something that Bill Voth tweeted out. I saw that. That was impressive. But I mean, he had 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass breakup in this game alone. And his 3 forced fumbles is second in the league. I mean, he was a big reason why the Panthers were still in that game. As a result of his strip sack. So yeah, Brian Burns definitely is a player that stood out to me. Any thoughts on Burns at all? Anything you want to share or include?
I think he's very DeMarcus Ware type player. Very fast, very he hits that edge so fast. That move that he did just to get up to Brees, I was amazed. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he was past him real fast. It's Von Miller-esque.
Yes.
All right. The Panthers allowed a touchdown on the opening drive in their 3rd consecutive game. After 4 straight games of not allowing a touchdown or any points on their opponent's first drive, they've now allowed 3 games with a score on their opening drive. So we'll see what they can do against Atlanta. But that's something that kind of stood out to me as well. I already said Mike Davis led the team with 12 rushing yards. Not a very good rushing game, but you know what? The game script kind of went away from that. And it seemed like Rule knew that, and so did Brady. That's why they were calling so many pass plays, because it was working and they had the scheme down. But still, 14 carries, that's the fewest since 2014. They only committed 1 penalty. That's good news. That was that 5-yard defensive holding call on Dante Jackson that extended a drive, but that was also the same drive where Burns had his strip sack. So they kind of made up for it.
Yeah, just real quick on the running game.
Yeah.
I think that what they were doing with the passing game and the quick passing and the short passes, obviously there was one very long pass first half, but when your quarterback is 11 for 13 and you've scored on every drive, I think you don't really need to run the ball. And yes, one of the things that I would have liked to have seen from Joe Brady, and I would have liked to have seen it from Matt Rule, and I think this is something that they'll get better at as their career goes along, is say to themselves, okay, we need to slow down and pull this game out a little bit, because what's happening is that the Saints are on the field for so much longer than the Carolina Panthers. So whether or not their defense is getting tired out, you're never going to get you're never going to get a coach be like, yeah, our defense is getting tired. But Panthers only ran 43 plays total, which is incredible. I mean, I believe that's the 2nd fewest in franchise history. And when you compare it to the Saints running 67 plays, and it's just eventually your defense is going to get tired. So if I'm the offense, maybe I'm saying to myself, okay, like what can I do to kind of stretch the clock out a little bit longer? What can I do to keep our offense on the field a little bit more? Obviously, you don't want to do that and sacrifice points. but that is something that I think you can work in if I'm the Carolina Panthers. So that's just me kind of thinking out loud. But you look at just for an example, the Saints had a 9-play, 78-yard touchdown drive that took 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Panthers came out and scored in 2 plays on the DJ Moore drive. Then out comes the defense again for another 8 plays, 44 yards. That was the strip sack. Then it's another 8-play, 75-yard drive at the end of the half. First drive of the second half actually ends up taking up almost half of the third quarter, 13 plays, 78-yard drive. And then the Panthers come out and their drive lasts 3:43. So it's just a matter of keeping your defense a little bit fresher. And I think that's something that comes maybe with a little bit more experience.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And they only had 6 drives the entire game. And the first quarter, they only touched the ball once. As far as possession. So, yeah, I mean, you're making some excellent points. 43 plays. Wow, I didn't know that. That's not a lot. What else stood out? They were +1 in the turnover battle. And they're +2 on the season. They've got 4 interceptions and 6 fumble recoveries versus 5 interceptions and 3 fumbles lost. So that's not bad. +2, I'll take that, especially for a 3-4 team with some defensive issues. But you guys, any thoughts on who has the lowest turnover ratio in the NFC South?
Is it the Tampa Bay Bucks? I'm going to guess.
I was going to say the Bucks.
It's the Saints. It's the Saints. Their turnover ratio is +0. So they're completely even Steven. The Falcons, who of course they play this week, also have a +2. And the Bucks are +5. So I don't know if that's the only division in football that has all 4 teams 0 or higher in turnover ratio. That'd be interesting to look up. But it's true in the NFC South.
Yeah, it's a tough division. I mean, that's it was always going to be that. I mean, you got 2. Nobody knew that the Falcons were going to be such a huge dumpster fire, but you have the Saints and the Bucks are essentially Super Bowl contenders. So it's always going to be tough for a rebuilding team. And again, for just the fact that they're in these games, I think is something to be proud of. I know, I get it. No moral victories, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But I think in my mind, I'm taking the moral victories and I'm running away with them.
Yeah. And, sorry, Joey, go ahead.
So I agree because for Dallas, we have none. None of the victories, not even a moral one. We don't even defend our quarterback.
The obligatory Cowboys mention here. Of course, they're playing the Eagles on Thursday night, or Sunday Night Football this coming week. The Eagles and the Cowboys combined have a -18 turnover ratio.
Can we talk about the best quarterback that everybody forgot? My man Ben.
Who?
Ben DiNucci, come on.
Oh, the Nooch, baby. More Nooch content. Let's talk about it. The pride of James Madison.
Hey. So no, let's
light up those Eagles.
Yeah. Let's talk about areas that we can work on here. A lot of these we've already mentioned. The third down defense, that's definitely a work in progress. But they were 50.8% heading into week 7. Now they're 56.3. Only Tennessee has a higher third down defense conversion percentage that's worse. They need to improve in their red zone. They jumped up to 52% in the red zone. We know the Saints have troubles there. They've allowed 86% touchdowns on visits to the red zone this season after this particular week. Quarterback pressure, we kind of mentioned that already. 6 sacks on 44 pressures. Only Green Bay and Cincinnati has a lower pressure percentage. Any idea when Gross Matos is coming back, Josh?
So it's a high ankle sprain, which is going around at Carolina. So it's 4 to 6 weeks usually, and they can vary a lot. Daly had one a couple weeks before the season started. I don't think he's even 100% quite yet. Now I think he's like getting back there.
Right.
So you're going to be, I think probably we've got 2 more weeks at least until he gets back out on the practice field. But even that, it's again, it's a young team. So why, like in my mind, I'm not rushing him back until he's 110%. Like I'm not putting him out there at 85% so he can rip a ligament in his ankle and be out for the rest of the season and miss out on all that practice and valuable reps. Like I'm good. Just take your time.
Yeah, and there was actually some talk about McCaffrey potentially coming back for Week 8 against.
He's not coming back for Week 8.
Is that not going to happen?
He's not going to come back for Week 8. No way. That's crazy talk. It's
the earliest I'll see him is Week 10.
When's
Week 10? I guess
10?
we're going to find out.
Is that 2 more weeks? I think it's week 9. I think they're gonna. I think he was out. He was on the field. He was out at practice today in a jersey, and then he immediately switched into the red injury jersey. I just don't. I can't see a scenario where they bring him back on a short week after 2 days of practice to a hurricane-soaked game on Thursday night when you could just hold him out. Even if you want to let him practice this week, I think that's a totally Matt Rule and this coaching staff are really into the playing the way that you practice and not just bringing you back without practicing. And that makes a ton of sense to me. So it makes a lot of sense that he would be out there maybe tomorrow, maybe even Wednesday. But I don't think that it makes any sense for you to actually put him out there. He's too important of an asset to rush him back out there on a Thursday night as I've already said, in a season that realistically doesn't really matter. If they are 3-5 and he comes back, it's not that much worse than if they're 4-4. It'd be great if they were 4-4, but if they're 3-5 and he comes back against the Chiefs,
right,
that's okay too.
Yeah, I think it's probably just the fact that he wants to be there. It's the Thursday night game. It's at home. It's the national audience and all that. So that's also playing more into the role of potential return. But like you, I tend to believe that that's the case, and it makes the most sense. All right, so we got Atlanta coming up, Week 8. Atlanta 1-6. They keep on finding ways to lose, and Carolina beat them earlier in Atlanta. What's the key? What's the game plan here for getting the W this week?
I think it's just allowing Falcons to do whatever ridiculous thing they're going to do in the fourth quarter in order to give up the game. So you just when you get to that fourth quarter and some crazy stuff starts happening, you just ride the wave. Like you're just like, okay, all right. Like, I mean, we're down by 6 and somehow Matt Ryan just threw it backwards like Aaron Brooks, but okay. I mean, we'll take it. Like you gotta take those opportunities when they come to you.
Is Matt Ryan doing the Statue of Liberty play?
Yeah, exactly. Are they doing they're doing some sort of fumble-rooski annexation of Puerto Rico? and you're just like, okay, all right. I mean, I'm not gonna be bad.
The funny thing about Todd Gurley, scoring on that touchdown where he didn't want to is the fact that Todd Gurley has done that before. Mm-hmm. He's gone down before at the 1 yard line. He knows to do that. It's like I don't know. It's Atlanta.
Also, how about this, Jeff? Just take a knee. You don't need to run that ball at all.
That's true.
Dog.
That's true.
Raheem is who to blame. Everybody's like, oh, Todd Gurley got it. No, just take a knee. You're at the 8 yard line. You don't need to I got to get down to the 1 and kick a field goal. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is why your team stinks.
That's right. We're going to have to hopefully rely on some more of that Falcon magic to occur, like you said. But all right, well, cool. Any thoughts on predictions at all, or what might happen, what we might see Thursday night?
I think if you're looking for like real game analysis instead of just nonsense, like I've been yelling for the past 5 minutes, I think that just like any other game, if you can get Matt Ryan off his spot, you can win. And this is not a really talented offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they have some talent up front, but they haven't really been doing it this year. And so I think that this is the opportunity for whether it is Brian Burns, whether it's Efe Abada, who I just keep waiting to make some plays up front, Derek Brown, Stephen Weatherly, who has kind of been non-existent as one of their big splash free agent signings. But I think that if they can have Dante Jackson, if Rasul Douglas is able to come off COVID reserve, which I think he should be eligible to do, but I have no idea I know how the rules work, but who knows? Going to be back at practice. So, and then it'll be like, oh, he's back. So that's kind of how that works, because we don't know how many positive tests he's gotten, how many negative tests he's gotten, if he even tested positive in the first place. So we'll see on that. But if you can get somebody like that, you can throw him out there against Julio Jones. I think this defense is going to have some trouble with Calvin Ridley more than they are with Julio Jones, which is different than it has been in the past. And offensively, I think you just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the offense has not been the problem. And I think that as Teddy Bridgewater gets used to working with DJ and Curtis and Robbie, we saw that connection between Robbie Anderson and Teddy Bridgewater they had from before the season. You saw it early in the season, and I think you're seeing a little bit more of that with DJ Moore coming along as they get used to each other. Same thing for Curtis Samuel. And I think that you can get Mike Davis going a little bit more, especially if it's going to be a monsoon like it might be. So I think that this is definitely a winnable game for the Carolina Panthers. Just a matter of, this is something that you have to get better at too. You have to get better at winning these close games. Like that is a skill that NFL teams have. And it's something that coaches have to learn, and it's something that quarterbacks and teams have to learn. And realistically, Christian McCaffrey is the face of this team, and he has not been good at winning these close games for the length of his career. So it'll be interesting to see how that skill gets translated for this team over the course of this season and then beyond.
Hey, well, man, Josh, all good things. And we definitely appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks so much. Shout out to the Riot Report and the Roaring Riot. Thanks again. Any parting thoughts from
absolutely.
either?
I want to hear Cowboy Joe. Tell me what's going on. Are we looking at 2-14 for the Cowboys? Trevor Lawrence in the future? Justin Fields?
I think we have to throw ourselves in that Trevor Lawrence lottery, huh?
Yes.
Now
we're talking.
I think at this point, I even read something that they were thinking about Sam Darnold also. So I'm like, oh no.
I love it.
How could Jerry Jones be this bad?
What'll they ship the Panthers for Will Grier? How's that looking?
I'll give you
trade deadline.
Basically the Cowboys will probably give you a number one and probably give you Ben.
Oh, sold. I'll say, and the Nooch? We get the Nooch thrown in?
You get the Nooch.
Sold. Give me that Nooch jersey. All about it. Real quick, I know we're getting to the end. I'm sure nobody's paying attention anymore, but if you are interested, the Roaring Riot this season is going to have a supporter section at Bank of America Stadium for the first time in NFL history. An NFL team has never done this before, where they have given an entire section to a fan group. And so it's going to be almost like we like to think of it as like a college, like a student section where there's going to be chants. There's going to be like the big heads. It's just going to be super fun and a different way to watch a game. So, I think that a lot of times Panther fans are used to opposing fans coming in and taking over Bank of America Stadium. One of the things the Roaring Riot does not believe in is that that's okay. And we are trying to keep that from happening. Sorry, Cowboy Joe, because I know you probably enjoy it anytime the Cowboys come to Charlotte.
You tell me there's a party, I'm partying. I'm going streaking.
Absolutely. Yeah. So check that out. You can see all that stuff at roaringriot.com. You can read anything that I'm writing that other guys are writing at theriotreport.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Klein Rules.
Definitely. Follow him. Go follow him. We got to support our fans here in Carolina. We got to support this team.
Only way to fly.
Right. Amen, brother. We appreciate it. And thanks so much. Let's tie a bow on this show for Josh Klein and Cowboy Joe. I am Jeff Hasley, and we appreciate you watching us. Give us a subscribe, a like. Feel free to comment if you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week.
And fandom, prayers for Joe, for Eagles, Cowboys, please. I need all the prayers I can get.
Good night to take your wife out to dinner. Get some points. You don't need to watch Sunday Night Football.
I think I'm going to skip it this time.
Not this week, Joe. Say hi to Coco.
I will.